My number 3 game of 2022 is Triangle Strategy. As someone who doesn't really play tactics-based games, I tried to get into some of them whenever I was younger. I couldn't. The only tactics game that I can tell you that I've really enjoyed prior to Triangle Strategy was the Advance Wars games. But that's it. You know, I've never this is not really a genre that I'm super well versed in, and I've really gone into that much. But I ended up, funny enough, I wasn't gonna get this game. I was not going to. I ended up winning a giveaway on Twitter. And just because, I was like, you know what the heck, I'll just enter into it. All I do was like a tweet, retweet it, and then that was it. And follow whoever was doing the giveaway, and you could potentially win a free code for the game. So I was like, yeah, why not? And I won. And so I quite literally got the game for free. And my goodness, I feel so blessed that I won that giveaway, because I don't think I would have played it if I didn't win it. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's now my new favorite tactical RPG. It's probably one of the best ones that I've personally played, but I guess that's not saying too much, because I haven't really played a lot of tactical RPGs. It's just so good, man. I'll say this, I'll get kind of my gripe with it out of the way before I talk about all the great stuff with the game. The pacing for the game's story isn't the best. It starts off very slow, but once you get past the first few chapters, it picks up and it goes crazy. And this is a game where there's multiple endings, and depending on your convictions and the choices that you choose to make, and what you choose to do, it'll affect how the story plays out. It'll affect who you obtain as a unit in your party, what kind of characters you meet, and things like that, and it'll affect how the story ends. And I thought that was really interesting, because it's definitely, because the characters are so good, and the story is compelling in a lot of moments, it definitely made me want to play the game again. I actually played through the game twice, and this is a game that I did not play on stream. I completely played it in my own time. I played through the first time, and I got one of the endings, but there is what's called the Golden Route ending, which is the true ending of the game. It's the best ending. It's like the equivalent of the Royal ending to Persona 5 Royal, but Triangle Strategy. And there's certain requirements that you have to meet throughout the game in order to get said ending. It's almost impossible to do it on your first playthrough, because there are certain choices that even if you want to try to make them, you can't, because you have to convince people in your group to side with you on certain decisions, and sometimes your convictions might not be high enough in order to do that. So you actually have to play through the game on New Game Plus, where all your convictions carry over, and try to get the Golden Route that way, which you most likely will be able to if you've been balancing out your choices. But yeah, on my second playthrough of this game, I went through the Golden Route, and the ending was just incredible. It was one of the most satisfying games that I've played this year, to be honest. And I know I'm talking about the story and the ending at the beginning of this video, but that was just the first thing that came to my mind. I haven't even gone to all the other stuff. The game is just, the story is just really good, and part of the reason why it's good is because the characters are very real, and the characters that they want you to they are very likable, and the characters that they want you to absolutely hate, they are very hateable, which is a great sign of just great characters and just a great narrative unfolding. I feel attached to a lot of them, and you get to as the game goes on, you get to learn about all these characters, and then there's some neat little twists in the game where it's like certain characters that like you didn't think that you can actually get to join you, and they end up being like super OP, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Something I touched on a little bit earlier was, you can make choices that affect how the story plays out based on your conviction. So there's 3 convictions in the game, and it's liberty, morality, and utility. And depending on certain dialogue options that you choose when talking to, whether it's like a random NPC or if it's like one of somebody from your group or just like a character or something, depending on the dialogue choice that you choose, it'll increase like that conviction in that area. So like choosing a dialogue choice that leans more towards liberty will increase your liberty conviction, and so on. And so these convictions are what help you actually make certain decisions and unlock certain units throughout the game, because you can only unlock certain units with certain convictions. That's why it's almost impossible to get like the best ending on your first playthrough, because you might get to a point in the game where you need to convince Benedict to help you do this one thing, and he's very, very against it. And if your convictions aren't high enough, no matter what you say to him, it can be the most convincing argument that you can make to him, he will not change his stance. But as you increase your convictions, it's more easy. You can easily sway people into voting to how you want to proceed with the situation at hand, because there's these, again, with the whole convictions thing, there's these trials, not these trials, but these meetings that occur, and Serenoa, who's the main character, will be like, bring forth the scales of convictions, and you have to, there will be certain characters who are siding with one side of something, and certain characters siding with another side of something. Some characters will be indifferent, and whatever side you want to pick, you have to try to persuade characters on the opposite side to try to join that side, so you can choose the route that you want to go down. It makes the story really interesting, because there's a lot of really interesting things that happen depending on which routes you take, and again, you can unlock very specific units as well, depending on which routes you take, which I think is really, really cool. The story for me definitely is the highlight of the game, and the characters definitely the highlight. The game is in the Octopath engine, and it looks amazing. In the HD 2D 3D style games, I love this genre of games. Just like the way that whenever you're using like a special move in battle, it just looks, some of these moves just look stunning. Like the effects that they have worked to make these moves actually look flashy. They look amazing, especially for a game that is in this Octopath style engine. I think it looks really good. In battles, you have your story battles, but then you also have like these mock battles that you can do apart from the story, which are just like little extra things to level up a little bit, to get some extra resources. The enemies actually scale with your level. So if you were to do New Game Plus in this game and you ended you beat the game, you're level 38 with like your average level is like 38 across all your units. Whenever you do the first battle in New Game Plus on your new save, the enemies will be level 38. So the enemies scale. So it's not like you're never in a situation where like you feel too overpowered in the story anyway, or where you feel too underleveled in the story. The only time where you would feel underleveled or overpowered is doing the mock battles. Those are the only ones that don't actually scale. Those are pretty set. Every single character in this game is completely unique in how they play. Like literally every character. Like there's a few different bow characters, there's a couple spear characters, there's a couple characters that use shields, there's a couple of healers, but they all play differently. Like there's one bow character who she rides a hawk, so like her mobility is crazy and she can actually go reach higher places that like some other characters can't. Some of your shield characters, like they might not be able to move a lot, but they're very tanky, so like, and they can actually provoke enemies to attack them. Every character plays so different and is so unique. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about playing the game, because I want to bring everybody into battle, but you can only bring like 10 to 12 units, I believe. I think like 12 is like the max you can actually bring into one battle. So, and there's like so many characters, like there's so many, so you can't use everybody all at once. You kind of can build a play style based off of you know, the characters you like, and there's some characters that are going to be better for certain battles than other characters, but yeah, like everyone plays super differently. There's a character that is just specifically meant to buff your party. There's a character that is you know, proficient in just debuffs and status effects. You know, there's characters that are solely meant for damage output. There's characters that excel in magic. You know, I think Frederica, personally for me, was one of the best characters in the game, and she's somebody that you have like throughout the entire game, and she spams fire magic, like that's her thing, but she's really, really strong. Whenever you use them, like you level them up individually based off of whenever you use them in battle, but you can also spend resources and money to upgrade like characters individually, upgrade their weapons, upgrade their health, like give them new abilities. Every character is unique, and that's why this game does not really get boring to play for me. There are some characters that I would use in every single battle. Like for example, there's a character named Julio, and Julio, what he does is he actually grants TP, which is basically they're just ability points that allow you to use abilities, and some abilities are stronger than others, so they require more TP. And Julio, his whole gimmick is like he can give a massive amounts of TP to units, but he can also like take TP away from enemy units as well, because enemy units will also use abilities as well. So he was somebody who was like, I always had him in my team, always, because I think he's one of the best characters in the game, because he could just give like Frederica or whoever like the TP that she needs to continuously use her fire magic, which does absurd amounts of damage to like multiple enemies at once, just as an example. Although I had like mains that I would have, I feel like I utilized every single unit that I got, and there's a lot of characters because they all play differently, and they're just fun to use. And you know, figuring out like different, like which characters go well with other characters, and kind of figuring out like how you can like cheese certain fights based off of like a combination of characters that you have in your party was super satisfying for me. There's a plethora of combinations of units that you can use in this game that really makes just the gameplay experience that much more satisfying. And along with the story and the characters, like that was another part of the game that I really, really, really loved, was that I didn't really feel like I was benching units. Like I actually felt like that I was using everybody, but just for different types of battles depending on what the battle was. Yeah, this game was great, man. I love this game. I've talked about it like on stream multiple times, and how I feel like it's incredibly underrated and that more people need to play this game. And I actually ended up buying the game after I beat it, because I want Square to make more games like this, because it was actually really, really good. Easily my number 3 game of 2022. I think, you know, critically and personally, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Easily. It's not a perfect 10, but it's easily a 9 out of 10 for me. And especially if you like tactical RPGs, you don't want to pass up this game. You definitely don't want to pass up this game. It's easily the best tactical RPG that I've ever played, and personally probably my favorite, even above Advance Wars. For me, which is, you know, Advance Wars was really the only tactics game that I've actually enjoyed and grown up with. But yeah, this game, don't sleep on it, man. That's all I'm saying.